You will die today. I swear, you will not leave this compound alive. Madame Gold's voice filled the entire compound like thunder. She stood in the middle of the yard, her wrapper loose around her waist, her eyes red like fire. In her hand, she held a thick wooden stick, waving it in the air like a mad woman. But what happened next? Nobody expected. 3 months earlier, the compound at number 14 Bomba Street, Freetown, was a place of fear and tears. Madame Gold owned the big house, with 12 rooms. She rented them to poor people who needed somewhere to stay. But Madame Gold was not a kind woman. She was wicked. Very, very wicked. Every month, she would increase the rent without warning. If you complained, she would fight you. If you tried to move out, she would lock your room and keep all your property inside. Where is my money? She would shout every morning at 6 a.m., banging on doors with her stick. You think this is your father's house? Pay me or pack out. In room 3, lived Sister Comfort, a woman who sold fish in the market. Sister Comfort had 3 children. Her husband died 2 years ago. She struggled every day to feed her family. One month, Sister Comfort could only pay half the rent. She came to Madame Gold with the money and tears in her eyes. Madam, please, my son is sick. I used some of the money for hospital. Next week, I will complete it. I promise on my children's life. Madame Gold looked at the money in Sister Comfort's hand. Then she spat on the ground. You think I am running a charity? You think I care about your sick picking? Madame Gold grabbed Sister Comfort's hair and dragged her across the yard. Stupid woman! Foolish woman! She beat Sister Comfort in front of everyone. The children cried. The neighbors watched, but nobody helped. They were all afraid of Madame Gold. If you don't pay everything by tomorrow, Madame Gold said, I will throw all your things in the gutter. You and your children will sleep on the street. That night, Sister Comfort borrowed money from 5 different people just to complete the rent. She paid Madame Gold the next day, but the shame and pain stayed in her heart. In room 7 lived Mr. Johnson, an old man who drove a taxi. Mr. Johnson had lived in the compound for 8 years. He always paid his rent on time, never caused trouble, and helped other tenants when they needed it. But one day, Mr. Johnson's taxi broke down. He spent all his money fixing it so he could continue working. When rent day came, he was short by 20,000 leons. Madame Gold, he said respectfully, removing his cap. I have lived here for 8 years. I have never failed you. Please, give me just 1 week. My taxi is fixed now. I will work and pay you everything. Madame Gold laughed in his face. 8 years? So what? You think that means you can stay for free? Old man, you are very stupid. She called the police that same day. 2 officers came and arrested Mr. Johnson right there in the compound. They took him to the station and locked him in a cell like a criminal. The other tenants collected money together to bail him out. When Mr. Johnson came back, he was so ashamed that he packed his things and left the compound forever. Nobody heard from him again. This was how Madame Gold ruled her compound. With fear, with wickedness, with police officers who she paid to do her dirty work. The tenants hated her, but they could do nothing. Where would they go? Rent was expensive everywhere in Freetown. They were trapped like rats in a cage. One day, Sister Comfort would whisper to the other tenants, one day, God will punish that woman. But days became weeks. Weeks became months, and Madame Gold only got worse. Then, on a hot Tuesday morning, everything changed. A girl came to look at room 10, the small room at the back of the compound. She was alone, carrying only one small bag. She looked about 20 years old, but her eyes looked older, like she had seen many things in life. I am Amina, she told Madame Gold. I need a room. I can pay 6 months in advance. Madame Gold's eyes grew wide. 6 months in advance? Nobody had ever paid that much at once before. She smiled, showing all her teeth. My daughter, welcome. This room is perfect for you. Very nice, very clean. Come, let me show you. The room was not nice. The roof leaked when it rained. The window was broken. Rats lived in the corners, but Amina looked around and nodded. I will take it, she said, She counted out the money right there, clean new notes. Madame Gold's hands shook as she took it. She couldn't believe her luck. "You are welcome to this compound," Madame Gold said sweetly. "If you need anything, just call me. I am like a mother to all my tenants." Sister Comfort heard this and almost laughed out loud. "Mother?" Madame Gold was like a mother, the way a snake is like a pet. For the first 2 weeks, Amina was quiet. She went out early in the morning and came back late at night. Nobody knew where she went or what she did. She greeted everyone politely but never stopped to talk. "That girl is strange," the tenants whispered among themselves. "Too quiet, too calm. Something is not right about her." But they left her alone. In Freetown, people minded their business. Then, one Saturday afternoon, the trouble started. Madame Gold was in a bad mood. Her boyfriend had left her for another woman. She was angry and looking for someone to punish. She walked around the compound, checking rooms, looking for problems where there were none. She came to Amina's room and banged on the door. "Open this door now!" Amina opened it, her face peaceful. "Yes, Madame Gold?" "I need to inspect my room." Madame Gold pushed past her inside. She looked around, touching things, throwing things aside. "What is this? You are burning candles in my room? Do you want to burn down my house?" There were no candles anywhere. Madame Gold was lying. "I don't burn candles, madame," Amina said quietly. "Are you calling me a liar?" Madame Gold's voice rose. "You small girl, are you calling me a liar in my own house?" The other tenants heard shouting and came outside to watch. They knew what was coming. They had seen this before. Madame Gold was about to destroy another person's life. "Madame, I am not calling you a liar," Amina said, still calm. "I am just saying I don't use candles. You can check everywhere." "Shut up!" Madame Gold slapped Amina across the face. The compound went silent. Nobody had ever seen Amina angry before. But now, something changed in her eyes. Something dark and dangerous, like a storm forming in the sky. "You should not have done that," Amina said softly. Madame Gold laughed. "What will you do?" "Nothing. You will do nothing because I am the landlady here. I own this place. I own you. If I want, I can throw you out right now. What I paid you, I will keep it. Try me and see." She raised her hand to slap Amina again. That was when Amina caught her hand in mid-air. Madame Gold tried to pull away, but couldn't. Amina's grip was like iron, like stone. No matter how Madame Gold twisted and pulled, she could not free her hand. "Let me go," Madame Gold screamed. "Let me go, or I will call the police. I will make them lock you up forever." "Call them," Amina said. Her voice was still quiet, but now there was something else in it. Something that made everyone watching feel afraid. "Please, call them right now." Madame Gold pulled out her phone with her free hand and dialed. "Inspector Bangura, come quickly to my house. A mad girl is attacking me. She wants to kill me. Come now with your men." She hung up and smiled at Amina with evil in her eyes. "You are finished. In 10 minutes, you will be in a cell. I hope you enjoy prison food." But Amina just smiled back. And that smile was the most terrifying thing anyone in that compound had ever seen. Amina released Madame Gold's hand and stepped back. The entire compound waited. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. Everyone stood frozen in their spots, watching, waiting to see what would happen. Sister Comfort whispered to the woman beside her, "That girl is going to suffer now. The police will beat her. They will lock her up and throw away the key." "I feel sorry for her," another tenant replied. "She seems like a nice girl. But nobody can defeat Madame Gold. Nobody." Soon, they heard the sound of a vehicle. Inspector Bangura's pickup truck stopped outside the compound gate. 3 policemen jumped out, all of them big and mean-looking. They carried batons and moved like soldiers, going to war. Inspector Bangura was a tall man, with a fat belly and small eyes. He had been helping Madame Gold terrorize tenants for 5 years. She paid him well every month, and he did whatever she wanted. "Where is she?" Inspector Bangura shouted as he entered the compound. "Where is the troublemaker?" Madame Gold ran to him like a child running to her father. She grabbed his uniform and pointed at Amina with shaking fingers. That one there. That small girl. She attacked me in my own house. She tried to kill me. Look at my hand. See how red it is. She nearly broke my bones. Inspector Bangura looked at Amina. He expected to see fear in her eyes. He expected her to start begging and crying. But Amina just stood there, arms folded across her chest, that same small smile on her face. You, Inspector Bangura said, walking toward her with his chest pushed out. What is your name? Amina. Amina what? Full name. Just Amina. That is all you need to know. The other policemen gasped. Nobody talked to Inspector Bangura like that. Not in Freetown, not anywhere. Inspector Bangura's face turned red with anger. You have mouth, eh? You can talk back to police officer? We will see if you will still have mouth in the station. Boys, arrest her. The two other officers moved toward Amina. They grabbed her arms roughly, one on each side. You are under arrest for assault and threatening behavior, Inspector Bangura announced proudly. You have the right to remain silent, but anything you say will be used against you in court. Amina looked at the hands holding her arms. Then she looked up at Inspector Bangura. Her smile grew wider. I am giving you one chance, she said quietly. Let me go now, apologize, and leave this compound. If you do that, I will forget everything that happened here today. Inspector Bangura laughed so hard his belly shook. You hear this small girl? She's threatening me. Me, Inspector Bangura, the same man who has locked up armed robbers and murderers. You think you can threaten me? He moved closer to Amina's face. Let me tell you something, small girl. Where you are going, there is no window, there is no bed, just cold floor and rats. By tomorrow morning, you will be crying for your mother. I warned you, Amina said. Her voice was still soft, but something changed in the air. The wind stopped blowing. The birds stopped singing. Even the sun seemed to hide behind clouds. Then Amina moved. What happened next? Nobody could explain properly. Even years later when they told the story, Amina twisted her body in a way that seemed impossible. The two officers holding her suddenly flew backward through the air and crashed into the compound wall. They fell down and did not get up. Inspector Bangura reached for his baton. But before his hand could touch it, Amina was standing in front of him. She didn't walk. She didn't run. She just appeared there, like magic. She grabbed his uniform with one small hand and lifted him off the ground. Inspector Bangura was a big man, over 200 pounds, but Amina held him up with one hand like he was a bag of rice. Put me down, Inspector Bangura screamed. His legs kicked in the air. Put me down. This is assault on a police officer. You will go to prison for life. You have been helping this wicked woman destroy innocent people's lives, Amina said. Her voice was not loud, but everyone heard it clearly. You take her money and do her dirty work. You arrest people who have done nothing wrong. You put them in cells and make their families suffer. You think because you have a uniform, you are above the law? She shook him like a mother shaking a naughty child. You are a disgrace to your uniform, a disgrace to your position, a disgrace to justice itself. Then she threw him. Not hard, but far. Inspector Bangura flew through the air and landed in the big gutter at the edge of the compound. The gutter was full of dirty water and waste. He splashed into it and came up covered in filth, coughing and spitting. The entire compound erupted in shock. Some people screamed. Some ran into their rooms and locked their doors. Sister Comfort fell to her knees, making the sign of the cross and praying in tongues. Madame Gold stood frozen, her mouth opened so wide a bird could fly inside. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. That small girl had just defeated Inspector Bangura and his men like they were children. Who are you? Madame Gold whispered. Amina turned to look at her. And in that moment, Madame Gold saw something in Amina's eyes that made her blood turn to ice. She saw power. Real power. The kind that cannot be bought with money or gained through bullying. I am just a girl looking for a place to live in peace, Amina said. But you couldn't let that happen, could you? You had to start your nonsense. You had to show me that you are the landlady, that you have power here. She walked toward Madame Gold slowly. Each step made Madame Gold move backward. Let me tell you something about power, Madam Gold. Real power is not in shouting. It is not in beating people weaker than you. It is not in using police to terrorize innocent people. Real power is in knowing when to be strong and when to be kind. And you have never learnt that lesson. Madam Gold's legs were shaking so badly she could barely stand. Please, she whispered. Please don't hurt me. Hurt you? Amina laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Why would I hurt you? You are already hurting yourself. Look at you. You have money. You have property. But you have no friends. No family. No peace. Everybody in this compound hates you. They pray for your downfall every night. Is that the life you want? Tears started rolling down Madam Gold's face. For the first time in many years, she was crying real tears, not fake tears to trick people. Inspector Bangura climbed out of the gutter, dripping with filth. He looked at Amina with pure terror in his eyes. Let's go, boys, he called to his officers. They got up slowly, groaning with pain, and ran to their vehicle. Wait! Amina called out. They stopped immediately, too afraid to disobey. Before you leave, Amina said, I want you to know something. I have video of everything that just happened. I have video of Madam Gold calling you to arrest an innocent person. I have video of you trying to arrest me without any real crime being committed. If I send this video to your superiors in Freetown, what do you think will happen to your job? Inspector Bangura's eyes grew wide with fear. Please, he begged. Please don't send it. I have a family. I have children in school. I need my job. Then do your job properly from now on, Amina said firmly. Stop taking bribes. Stop helping wicked people oppress the poor. Be a real police officer, not a criminal in uniform. Can you do that? Yes, I promise. I swear on my mother's grave. Good. Now go and clean yourself up. You smell terrible. Inspector Bangura and his men practically ran out of the compound. Their vehicle sped away so fast it left dust clouds behind. The tenants slowly came out of their hiding places. They looked at Amina like she was a spirit, a ghost, something not quite human. Sister Comfort was the first to speak. Who are you really? Are you a witch? A juju woman? Amina laughed. A real laugh this time. Warm and kind. I am not a witch. I am just someone who learned how to fight. My father was a soldier. He taught me martial arts when I was young. He taught me to defend myself and protect others who cannot protect themselves. She looked around at all the faces watching her. I came to this compound because I heard about Madam Gold. I heard how she treats people. I wanted to see if the stories were true, and they were. Everything I heard was true. She turned to Madam Gold, who was still crying on the ground. But I also learned something else. I learned that sometimes wicked people are wicked because they are hurting inside. Sometimes they are afraid. Sometimes they never learned how to be kind. Amina walked to Madam Gold and knelt beside her. Tell me, Madam Gold, why are you so angry all the time? Why do you treat people so badly? Madam Gold sobbed harder. For a long time, she couldn't speak. Then, finally, the words came out. My husband left me, she whispered. 10 years ago. He took everything and ran away with a younger woman. I was left with nothing but this house. I was so angry, so hurt. I wanted everyone else to feel the pain I was feeling. So I became wicked. I became the person I am today. The compound was silent. Nobody expected this. Nobody knew Madam Gold had this story buried inside her. Pain is not an excuse to hurt others, Amina said gently. Your husband hurt you, yes. But these people here, they did not hurt you. Sister Comfort did not hurt you. Miss Johnson did not hurt you. Yet you made their lives miserable. You made them suffer for something they did not do. Madam Gold nodded, still crying. I know. But I didn't know how to stop. The anger just grew and grew inside me until it became who I was. Amina helped Madam Gold stand up. It is not too late to change. It is never too late. But you must want to change. You must choose to be different. Madam Gold looked around at all the tenants watching. She saw the fear in their eyes, the hatred, the pain she had caused them. And for the first time in 10 years, she felt shame. Real shame. "I am sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I am so sorry. Sister Comfort, I am sorry for beating you, for taking your money when your child was sick, for making you borrow from others just to pay me." She turned to face the entire compound. "I am sorry to all of you. I have been wicked. I have been cruel. I have been everything a landlady should not be. I don't expect you to forgive me today. But I promise, from this moment, I will change. I will be better. I will be the landlady you deserve." Sister Comfort stepped forward. Tears were running down her face too. "We all make mistakes, Madam Gold. We all have pain inside us. If you truly want to change, we will give you a chance." One by one, the other tenants nodded. They had seen something extraordinary today. They had seen a wicked woman broken down and humbled. They had seen the impossible happen. From that day forward, Madam Gold became a different person. She reduced everyone's rent by 30%. She fixed all the broken windows and leaking roofs. She stopped shouting at people and started greeting them with kindness. When tenants were late with rent, she would ask them what was wrong and try to help instead of calling the police. She started a small shop in the compound where people could buy food at cheap prices. The transformation was so complete that people from other compounds would come just to see if the stories were true. Was this really the same Madam Gold who terrorized Bomba Street for so many years? Amina lived in room 10 for 2 more years. She became like a daughter to Madam Gold and a sister to all the tenants. She taught Sister Comfort's children martial arts so they could defend themselves. She helped Mr. Johnson when he returned to the compound, welcoming him back with open arms. Then one morning, Amina packed her small bag and said goodbye. "Where are you going?" Madam Gold asked, tears in her eyes. "There are other places that need help," Amina said with a smile. "Other wicked landlords who need to learn their lesson. Other Madam Golds who need to meet their match." She hugged Madam Gold tight. "But you don't need me anymore. You have found the kindness inside yourself. That is the greatest power of all." As Amina walked out of the compound gate, every single tenant came out to wave goodbye. They called out blessings. They thanked her. They cried. And Madam Gold stood at her doorway, watching the mysterious girl who had changed her life forever, and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me who I could be." Years later, people in Freetown still tell the story of the wicked landlady who met her match. They tell it to their children and their grandchildren. They tell it to remind everyone that wickedness never wins in the end. That there is always someone stronger. That change is always possible, no matter how far you have fallen. And sometimes, late at night, when the compound at number 14 Bomba Street is quiet, you can hear Madam Gold praying, not for money, not for power, but for the strength to remain kind, to remain changed, to remain the person Amina helped her become. Because the wicked landlady learned her lesson the hard way. But she learned it, and that made all the difference. If this story touched your heart, taught you something, or made you believe that change is possible, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our stories. Drop a comment below and tell me, what lesson did you learn from Madam Gold's story? Have you ever met someone like Madam Gold who changed their ways? What other African stories do you want to hear next? To everyone who has been with me from the beginning, watching story after story, supporting this channel with your views, likes, comments, and shares, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are the reason I keep bringing these stories to life. You are the reason these African tales continue to inspire, teach, and entertain. Your loyalty means everything to me, and I see you. I appreciate every single one of you who comes back week after week, story after story. You are not just subscribers, you are family. You are part of the African Tales community, and together we are keeping our stories alive and sharing the lessons our ancestors taught us. Special shout out to those of you who comment on every video, share my stories with your friends and family, send me messages of encouragement, suggest new story ideas. You are the real MVPs.